We're all here for the quarterly meeting. I think we can forego the minutes. We really didn't have a lot of stuff going on. The last looks pretty straightforward. So, are there any questions or anything? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
I'll make that motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Shirley. Do I have a second? And a second. All in favor of approving the treasurer's report as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, and as I said, we didn't have a whole lot of things going on at the last meeting. I don't think there's any old business that was carried over.
There's the button press.
It's still carried over. Rayanne hasn't gotten to that yet. No, because to get it from Amazon, it has to be sold and supplied by Amazon. It can't go through a third-party vendor. So it's a little trickier.
Well, I mean, it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a process. We don't want to interrupt the process. But yeah, if whenever you know, just let us know.
She lets us know. And for old business, have you heard anything about the grant that they let you submit?
I haven't had any more communication from them.
Okay.
I would let me try and reach back out to them.
Okay.
Because yeah, I know from different things that I've been working with, there's been a lot of pullback on grants and funding in general because there seems to be a lot of worry about recession at the moment. So, yeah, I know that that's for some other things that I'm working on. They've had put on hold till next year. But I haven't got anything back from them since we submitted all the paperwork, and I got an acknowledgement of it, but not any.
That we could submit anything.
Yeah. Let's see, and there was no funding requests in the mailbox. Was there any funding requests that you had?
Nope.
Okay. How did summer reading go?
It was good. We did Beanstack. It was enjoyable. It went smoothly. So.
Well, that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
the programs were better attended this year, so people are starting to come back again, into group settings.
And you guys were at the at the fair all week with me, so that go pretty well, or?
Yes, it was. We were a very popular booth at the fair because, we have spin the wheel and we don't charge anything because everybody's going, well, you want to spin the wheel? How much does it cost? So and it's like, nope, it's free. But then you feel bad with all of the commercial people near you. It's like, no, it's free. It's like,
well, there was some limited selections this year in some ways too. So
yeah, the business section wasn't.
I'm sorry.
The business section wasn't particularly exciting.
Yeah, it seemed like they were kind of down on certain exhibitors, though they seem to have more food vendors this year than they had in a long time.
Well, and I think our fair was at the same time as Porter County Fair. So like this year. Yep. So, and Porter County always has a lot of really good entertainment.
Porter County is supposed to be one of the biggest in the state.
It is.
And
they get a lot. They
didn't have their entertainment that they thought they were going to have because it got canceled.
Yeah, One of the Country, or Chris Tomlin. Somebody, one of the.
The timing this year on everything just seems off to me. But
Everything is off. I'm with you.
With the fairs being moved around like that this year,
Yeah, they're worried about the art in the alley. We're worried that because in the past the amusements didn't start until Sunday, but this year they start on Saturday, and they're afraid that would pull them away. Of course, it didn't matter since it's a
Because
port.
since the storm.
I was going to say they couldn't have ran anyway Saturday because it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is different.
Yeah, after COVID, now the weather is the big problem that we're fighting on all the different fronts.
Do they plan on having the fair early like that from here on out, or is it just a screwy year?
My understanding is it's actually going to be different next year, where it's going to be Newton County and Jasper County immediately following, but I'm not 100% on that.
That's what it usually is.
Yeah, it's because they're normally back to back, which means I have to run from one to the other.
Right.
But Jasper is usually at the same time as White County, or no, hang on. That's the problem. All the fairs are a train wreck. If you get, they end up
I
running
just
parallel.
don't go anyhow.
Well,
I should go to ours out here, but
well,
You have to be a special kind of person to,
it has to be cooler.
yeah.
The
that's-
weather plays a big part in whether I go out to the fair or not.
well, and especially this year, it was rainy so many of the days. Well, we had the really bad ones
Well,
last Saturday.
yeah, on
but-
Saturday, they even canceled all the stuff at the fair on Saturday.
Yeah, and it takes a lot for them to cancel anything.
Mhm.
Of course, with all the damage around town and out there, yeah, that was an interesting and altogether more exciting than anybody wanted to deal with scenario. Do we have any funding requests for this fall at this
Well, of
point?
course, saying that, I said, the good thing was that it happened at 6 a.m. It would have been really bad if it happened at like 4 p.m. when everybody was out.
Yeah.
That would have, and then you would have had people. I said that was the only good thing about it.
That's always one of those things I kind of worry about with my background. If anything like that happens during a grandstand event, trying to get everybody out of the stands
Yeah, exactly.
to the safety.
It would have been scary, yeah.
I dealt with that a couple times years ago, and you end up with trying to evacuate a bunch of people into like the horse barn area, which this year would have been the wrong direction to go. Of course, it's always interesting that the only air conditioned place you can eat at the fairgrounds is down there at the horse barn. So,
Yeah.
because it's the only air conditioned building that serves food, and most people don't even realize that.
They used to serve it in the,
Yeah, and the one place where they play bingo, they used to serve food in there.
but that was a church, so maybe they just decided not to.
Yeah, I think that was an event thing, though. I mean, as far as like a restaurant that's going all the time,
Right.
when it's hot, that's the only place you can go to escape it and eat is down there to the horse arena. So.
I have no idea.
I spent a lot of time out at the fairgrounds over the years. A lot of time volunteering, unfortunately. Did we have any funding requests for this fall, or?
I do not have any.
Okay. I know we were still trying to look for a musical act, or talking about it.
What about some of the guys that sing here in town?
You mean like the barbershop guys or something? Or?
Yeah,
They're not, the barbershop, they're not.
They're not anymore.
they're not, yeah, but there's still some other guys that, oh, what are they called? I just seen them on Facebook.
Are you talking about Ned Tonner's group?
The what?
Ned Tonner's group?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what they charge. I think Phil
Nathan?
Nagel sings with them.
I don't know, that might
And
be
Rick,
interesting.
I don't know if Rick Mangus sings with that group or plays with that group or not. But I think Rick Mangus has a group also, or was in a group.
He was in barbershop one.
But I think he picked up enough with another group. I could be wrong.
Well, and it's, yeah, I don't, I mean, I talked to Ned and I talked to Rick every once in a while, but I guess I never asked. I'll try and ask when I see him next. In fact, I may see Ned tomorrow at Rotary, so I'll try and.
I mean, those are the only ones that I,
Well, and that's kind of the thing is, and they
and they're
do,
local.
right. But they do perform at other functions and stuff around here, so I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. I still get comments from when we did that horn
That was
concert,
neat.
because that was so different. I'd love to do something else like that. Unfortunately, if I brought in pipers, I don't know that we'd get the same reception. So, and that I know some pipers from up north, and that's about it.
Bagpipers?
Huh?
Bagpipers?
Yeah, the guys from the South Bend group that came down for me the one time.
No, at the farmer's market, and I don't know whether it's this Saturday or next Saturday, they're having a guy who does African drums coming. And he does farmer's markets all around the state. And he's coming just for gas money.
That'd be interesting. I mean,
Well, even the bagpipes would be interesting, I think.
Well, and that's
Because it's something different, like the horns were.
that may be something for late spring next year. The Highland Games are usually right before midsummer. Well, the Highland Games appear before midsummer. So I might be able to do something around the same time that Itasca is doing the Chicago Highland Games. That might be kind of cool. Might actually be able to get the dancers down here, Highland dancers.
I think you would get a group out of it because it would be something totally different besides going to a movie, going bowling, sitting at home and doing nothing.
Yeah,
You
we
know.
don't have music here in town.
And the library hasn't done anything like this for quite some time.
You know, Ned's band isn't the only local band around here.
We have a band.
Hawthorne,
Ooh, I'm sorry.
Who?
Dan Hawthorne and his friends, had a band.
I don't think they're still doing it though.
Well, I know, what I was kinda thinking was, what if we invited bands that are in the community to contact us and put together like a summer concert series?
Do like a battle of the bands or something.
Well, not a battle of the band so much, but if we did like one.
Like a
concert
library,
Saturday
library
in
band
the park.
concert, you know,
Yeah.
just make it a group of bands to come in.
We could definitely look at that. I'm not opposed to that at all. I think that would be kind of neat. I just don't know. I mean, unfortunately, I'm kind of out of touch with that whole scene anymore. Years ago, when I was a roadie, that would have been a fairly easy ask.
I'm gonna check at the senior center because they had a guy come down from up around Maryville, Cherville, and the only places he does is like senior centers. And he's I think he was Puerto Rican. He puts on a fabulous show for a one-man band. He plays his guitar, and I think it's a electric organ, or maybe it's just guitar. I will have to check and see who he was and how they got a hold of him, and maybe we could get him to come in for something.
No, that would be. I think that would be awesome. I think the big thing is, you know, we're a little late to schedule anything this fall now, especially as we get closer to like Little Cousin Jasper, because they're going to have a lot of performances.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Well, when we do our programming advertisement 2 months out now.
Right.
So we've already sent our September, October programs.
So unless we want to do a Christmas program,
Yeah.
it's next year.
Our church is having a band called the Nerds.
That's the one I was trying to
That-
think of.
Yeah.
We have our church frolic this the end of the month, I think.
Oh, St. A does.
Yeah,
They have bingo.
the 27th, yeah. And, I think they were there last year. They were very, very good.
That was who she was talking about with Ned Tonner. That's the
Okay.
Nerds.
Okay.
I don't know why I couldn't think of the name of the band, because
Well,
I
I
just
couldn't
saw.
think of it
Well,
either.
that's not a name you think for a band. You think like,
Well, when I think of nerds, I think of people like Chris and I.
Oh,
I would-
In the older,
I was thinking the little sugared candies, but whichever.
I like yours better.
Unfortunately, I'm diabetic. I haven't eaten the little candies in a long time. Well, depending on who I could get a hold of up at Itasca, I mean, we could do a Christmas concert. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of really nice Christmas songs for bagpipe. And there's always, if we did something like that, we could always have haggis. What do you think?
Oh,
Wouldn't
yeah,
that
sure.
feel adventurous?
do what?
You can be my guest, haggis.
It's like,
Which is, I'm not sure.
well, haggis is basically like Scottish meatloaf.
They don't waste anything.
It's organ meat
You
stuffed in
can
a
have
stomach.
my share, I'll take the sweet side of it, okay?
It's organ meat stuffed in a stomach and baked.
It's
No.
not bad.
It's good.
It's just a thought.
It's just not. food.
It's to
You know,
most.
it would probably be good. I snubbed my nose at tartar till I tried it.
That's like Mel once upon a time drugged me down to Evansville for tongue sandwiches, which I thought was
No, brain sandwich.
brain sandwiches. Okay,
Oh,
sorry.
those are good.
Which,
If they're fixed right.
I don't know if they were right or wrong, but
They taste like mushrooms.
I tried it once.
I thought
That
that
was
was
it.
a pancake, kind of like a sweet pancake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know that I would describe it as a pancake. I can tell you that I
It's a
haven't done it
gelatinous
since.
mess.
And
Well-
that's it.
Heart and tongue pickled is really good, so I would probably try haggis.
Believe it or not, other than the fact that you can't serve it authentic in the U.S. because of some really weird FDA regulations, it's really tasty because it's seasoned and it's like any other.
Well, that's like
No,
It's
it
really
is.
bad when we
What
can't
else is on
serve
the
it
agenda?
originally.
it's
in the United
cooked, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's fully cooked.
It's
Okay.
not tartar.
It's
Yeah. See, and I'm like, ah, until I tried it. But with all the spices and seasonings in it, you would not. I couldn't eat a lot of it, but I did try it, and it was good.
I actually like it a lot better than I like something like lamb.
I've never had. Well, yeah, I've had it in gear.
There's, well, yeah, but that's a blend.
That's a totally different.
It's in there, but it's like a hot dog. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't eat them.
Yeah, with the problem is with gyros, there a lot of the seasoning is in the sauce. While with the haggis, all the seasoning's in it, which to me makes, because I always use the Scottish meatloaf analogy because like a meatloaf, it's all in there and seasoned, and you just cook it and you're done and you eat it.
I think the thing that throws everybody off is it's in the stomach and cooked.
Which really doesn't make it much difference from
Than
sausage.
Yeah.
Or
You're right. It doesn't. I think it's just the way you described it.
It's not food on it. It's good.
Yeah, that would be good for food on the dare.
No, the thing with haggis is you always serve it to somebody, and then it's like ground fried mealworm or spiders. You don't tell anyone
Oh,
when you're serving it. You tell them after they ate it.
Is that like monkey brains? Chill.
You guys, come on, that's enough.
new topic.
I
You wanna
said,
talk
what
about
else
food?
is on the agenda?
Back to entertainment.
We're no longer hungry.
I wasn't hungry, we just ate.
Okay. What were we talking about? Oh yeah,
This is
program.
going live.
We said.
It
We're
is.
having a riot out there.
It is. We
In
are
Neverland.
we are live.
No, Billy, no.
I'm gonna get questions later. That's all I'm saying.
I would make a motion that you contact Itasca, about Christmas.
I'll second that.
Yeah, early in December
I will try and reach out in.
because the holidays
I
are
think
actually
that
on the
we'll contact
weekends
who?
now.
The Scottish Corps.
Oh, okay.
The Chicago Scottish Society
Okay.
maintains a couple lists. I don't know if the Indiana Scottish Society would have anybody that's far north. I've also got contacts in South Bend I can reach out to. So I'll see
I
what
will also check on the gentleman that done down at the senior center that,
Oh yeah, definitely, because that would be a good
that
one
would be
for this.
good for in the spring
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
next year, whatever.
that's exactly I would something like that makes good sense for spring. And if we can't do bagpipes for Christmas, maybe we can do it as a lead up to summer reading. What is the summer reading theme for next year? Remember?
Something about all in, all helpful and community.
It's okay. You've got most of a year to try and do your planning, so it's not like you've already done all the planning. You just got done with this one. I'm already getting ahead to the
I'm
next one.
still dealing with our 30th birthday party here in November, so.
All together now. That's the 23 thing.
All together now. Okay, so a lot of tape and glue.
Partridge Family.
So, I'm sorry, you said something about the birthday?
Yes, that's when we get to library news.
Okay. Well, I think we're good with funding. So let's.
I will say with funding, Lisa, next year there are no employee anniversaries of the 5, 10, 15, 25 in Rensselaer.
Amazing.
I know, I'm going none, but the following year there are quite a few.
Not even in tech.
Not even, nobody here in Rensselaer. I was like, wow. That's never happened.
I say, yeah, I would check the list twice just to be sure, because that seems weird.
I did. Well, the two that were are no longer here, so it's like.
I have to compliment the two little girls that are new,
Uh-huh.
Kayla and Beth. They're doing a really great job. And I know both of them personally, but business, they are, even though I'm their friend, they are just remarkable.
Very
They
good.
do our library proud.
Thank you.
Glad to see.
Next generation.
Is that what it is? Well, sometimes the next generation isn't so good, but you chose wisely.
Yeah.
It's very good.
So you were saying
Library news.
library news.
Yes. The Rensselaer Library this building is turning 30 this year, and we're going to celebrate it on November 30th from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. We're going to have cake and special cookies and punch and water and coffee probably. But we're also, DeMont did the same thing. They're 30, but they did it August 5th. And we're going to open it up that as of September 1st, anybody in the community that wants a canvas, we have some canvases they can take to paint or do whatever on them and bring them back of what adventures has the library inspired you to take. And so the canvases, and we have different sizes. We have small ones, we have some really large ones like 16 by 20. And you can pick them up as of September 1st, fill out the form, and then bring it back the middle of October. In November, the beginning of November, bring them back. And then we will display them from mid-November through mid-December. So we won't be doing our Christmas tree walk this year. We'll just have we'll have the 2 Christmas trees in the library that if people still want to donate items to the food pantry, they can put them under those 2 Christmas trees. But because the artwork will be in the area that we usually put Christmas trees, we're going to take a break from that this year and do the artwork for the 30th birthday celebration. So if you know any artists, and it's open to children, adults, you don't have to be a real artist.
So there's no age range?
There is no age range. It's children's, YA, and adult.
Have you contacted the Prairie Arts Council?
Not yet. No, I purchased the canvas, and Kayla is a member of the Prairie Arts, so I was just going to let her. Or
Well,
you
my
could.
my daughter's the office manager, so she.
Oh, very good.
I'll tell her.
But yes, so, and we put it in our publicity that's going out for August. So, but, so it's going to be thanking the community, and the community can be involved, and you can bring up to 2 to display. You know, each person could submit 2. And it'll be like a gallery where we'll have their name and what medium and stuff that they're on, and we'll do a brochure. So
That's really neat.
but so that's going to occur on November 30th, and then we have a lot of programming that's going to start. Oh, but before we weren't sure if the Friends would like to possibly consider funding like a piece of art, like a Doris Myers or a local artist print, to commemorate the 30th birthday. It would have to go before the board, Patty and the board, before it could be approved. But
You mean something like a commemorative portrait or something?
or just something from a local artist that's probably a little bigger, and I don't know how much they charge or anything but it would hang in the library.
And you're asking for us to pay
That
for it?
yes, and choose it would be fine too. It's like it
I mean-
doesn't have to be the library choosing. So
I took a class from Gail Woolliver,
Woolliver.
and I mean, she sells paintings for like $1,000, so it's like, how much? Of course, they would, undoubtedly the local artists would give us a break. But
I would hope they would donate it, but
Well,
we wouldn't tell them that.
no guarantee
so
there.
do we want to set a, what kind of budget do we want to set on?
I think we would need a budget
Yes,
of some type.
even if they donated, we have to offer them money up front.
Well, and my big question would be, are you specifically thinking a canvas, or are you thinking that you might have space if we had something else done, like a
Sculpture.
bust of James Whitcomb Riley or something, or some other notable figure, or
Because I know we have a sculpture in Jasper County.
Yes. We don't have a lot of space for a sculpture, like in the library. So,
Well, I would think if we're doing canvas paintings, I would think we would want to have a painting that simplifies or goes along with our display of paintings.
well, and the main reason I'm asking is I wasn't sure what all space they were considering using, and there's a possibility if we were to do something like a bust of a historical figure that the Historic Society might go in with us to fund it, or something else, or there might be foundation funding, or there could be other resources brought to bear. I mean, sculpture is more expensive than a canvas, but by the same token, that's why I'm asking the question. I know that's not exactly what you're talking about with the canvases already, but if it's something that was going to be, you know, because I mean, there is a little bit of room in the genealogy section, but I don't know if you've thought about that, or where you were thinking, or if there was an ideal location if we were to get something, if you already had that in mind, or if
the
it's,
only place that I think that we could even put like a normal size sculpture would be on the kiosk in the center. Because the genealogy, I don't know where you're thinking it would fit in the genealogy room.
well, and I mean, I haven't been over there in a while, so you do move stuff around a little bit, so I may be going off of old information. But my thought was something there at the scanner desk. There seems like there's a little bit of space to the right, but I'm not sure. That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Okay. Well, no,
Because
no.
we
That,
have two scanners. Yeah.
What about the size of the painting? What size would you?
Well, the painting could be larger, you know, because where the quilt is, we have the quilt hanging, and that could be a spot that it could go permanently. Because
Where's
the
the
quilt
quilt
is
hanging
getting
at?
older. It's like,
What,
I would have to, I could do
where's
dimensions
it
and
hanging
let
at?
you know. It's right by the circulation desk where the carts are. That first
I've walked
wall.
past it
Yeah,
and never
yeah.
looked at it.
And it's like the old colors where it was the dusty rose from when the library was first done. So, but it's starting to show its age and stuff, so that's a spot, and it's a prime spot, so, and
Now
it's a
what-
bigger
If
area.
you replace that with a painting, what are you gonna do with the quilt?
We would probably get it taken care of and put it into one of our enclosed things to keep it, but not display it all the time. Kind of like some of the Millrose stuff, where you might cycle them through, but you don't display them all the time.
well, that makes a good amount of sense in and of itself. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure part of the reason it looks like it's aging is because it's
It's
aging
30
over-
years.
Yeah,
It's
through
30
exposure.
years old.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that's perfectly reasonable. I think with the available funds, I don't even know what a medium-sized canvas goes for these days. I mean,
I know Doris Myers is quite expensive.
Probably is expensive too.
Abby,
Most of them are.
well, I mean, just the supplies alone are expensive, plus the amount of person hours in going into creating it is just enormous. Let's. I would say, let's aim for a budget of around 800. Does that seem reasonable, or let's approach it with that figure in mind and see where it gets us. Let's put
So
it that
you
way.
want, are
See
you
what you can
making the
get for
motion or you
800.
want us to make, can you do that?
Well, I'm throwing it out there to see what the consensus is before we actually make the motion to forward it on. Because if that seems reasonable based on our numbers, which I think that's,
We've been holding right about $3,000, so. I mean, if you look at our thing, I mean, we've been spending a little more than we take in, but not in great.
What about between 800 and 1,000 and see what the artist would
Do for that price.
do for that, or ask, tell them what we want and see, what their price would be.
okay.
If it would fit into our,
Well, and I think there's some discussion that has to happen, but at least having that price range in mind, I would entertain a motion for that. Then that way we could begin discussions. When ideally would you need to have
I'll make
something
the
to
motion
the
if you write it up.
Oh, just a second.
Well, the board meets the second Monday of every month. So the next time they meet is September.
Well, what I mean is, would we need to get their approval before we got the canvas
Purchase.
size? Right, but I mean, before we commissioned it, we'd have to get their approval, but would we need anything from them on canvas size or placement, or is that something that you and Patty can?
That would be something I and Patty would do.
Okay.
But could we?
But I will give you it, I will measure that area and that'll give you guys parameters to tell the artists.
Could we notify the artists, like through the Perry Arts Council, just put a thing, the library is looking at this before it goes to the board, or does it, we have to
Well,
wait for the
the
board?
friends are looking for it, not the
Yeah,
library.
Friends,
We have to be clear about that
Right.
because we are a separate entity,
yeah,
and we don't want to use the library unapproved.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I would say, that was my thought, is we could reach out to the Prairie Arts Council to see who would be available for a commission at the canvas size we're talking about, and then talk about what the actual pricing might look like.
Will they have the time to do it? That's by
Well-
November 30th.
They may have something already available.
Yes.
To purchase.
And
I mean, if they don't, that's September, October, that's 3 months. Some can do it and some can't.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, and a lot of that would depend on whether it's acrylics or oil or what's got to be prepped and
right,
how it's got to be.
watercolors, whatever.
And I mean, and there's
The size is the big thing as to
Yeah.
as to whether they
Well,
can get it
we
done.
probably need to also say no smaller than, because we don't want
Yeah.
them to give us something this big for
Right.
$800.
More bigger than a bread box.
Yeah,
yeah,
so,
and with a budget already pre-approved, we can send around the ideas as an email vote and just have people reply. I think that's adequate because we've already decided in person on the funding. So that's so yeah, I would entertain a motion to approve the preliminary budget of $800 to $1,000 for canvas based on the size that we would receive from the library to go towards the anniversary.
I made that motion.
Sherry made it, Barb seconded it.
Barb seconded it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I should have let you make that motion.
it's all right.
Time to go.
Yeah.
Getting sleepy, Sylvia.
Okay, because yeah, that way we can put it out to the Prairie Arts Council, get some ideas, and honestly, it is a pretty short time frame. So that,
Yeah, it is. I mean,
yeah, and ideally,
I have an artistic daughter and I know what it takes her to do an 8x10.
well, and ideally we
And that's
have.
in pencil.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's all kinds of things we could get back as proposals, which would be kind of interesting. But ideally, would have it for the next board meeting for that to give to them to approve. That way, we can do the purchase. And by the time we do that, you're actually looking at beginning of next month before somebody could count on it being in place. I don't think they would have an objection, but there's always a possibility.
Yeah,
What
so
type-
you
what
want
type
it
of-
by November 30th, would be, right?
It would be nice by November 30th so that it's there, so they could be recognized, that
Yeah, that's the
They've done
preferred,
it.
but you would,
that would be
It would be
preferred.
the ideal.
Yeah,
That way, it could be part of the overall.
celebration.
Right.
Does it have to be a painting? Could it be like a charcoal or a pencil drawing?
Yeah,
I think as long as we know the canvas size of the art, we can kind of make, that's why I'm saying we could put it out for proposals from the Prairie Arts Council, because we could come back with pencil sketches, charcoals, watercolors,
Yeah.
acrylics.
Oils,
Little-
every media.
Yeah.
Little pieces of everything.
Yeah.
and stuff.
Well,
A collage.
Abstract, the collage.
and I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't come back and somebody did propose a sculpture, because they have a number of sculptures in the Prairie Arts Council. So that's the other reason.
And really, if it was a, what do they call it, like a bas relief where it just hung on the wall, 3-dimensional would work. It just, you don't have a place for a freestanding sculpture.
Right. Well, and that was my question about placement, because there's all kinds of things. I wouldn't be entirely shocked if we didn't get at least a couple of proposals for doing, some kind of a photo study. Because you're talking about the anniversary of the building.
Yeah.
The library has a much longer history than that, with the Carnegie Center before, now this building. And there was even a building before the Carnegie Center, wasn't there? It was the Rensselaer Library? Isn't this the third building?
Yeah, well, I think there was.
It's the second as the Jasper County, is the
Yeah.
Rensselaer branch of the Jasper County Library, but I thought there was a
There wa-
Rensselaer
it was
Library
a
before
little- Yeah, I think there was a little building that was used.
I thought it was the courthouse.
Was it
That was a section of
courthouse?
the courthouse.
that. Was it?
Oh.
Okay. I was pretty sure this was the third building, and I don't remember why. That kind of stuck in
Third
my head.
facility, perhaps is the way to say it then.
Possibly. But being with the Historic Society as long as I have, there's always some weird little factoid floating back there.
Well, being not from this area, it's very possible we might know, and I would know.
There's a lot of stuff that's burned down around here. You don't want to know how many buildings the First Christian Church has gone through catty corner to, because it's a lot.
I just remember the one across the street. Libraries.
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, I got into a discussion with Mary Kay Emmerich at one point about it when she used to work at the Carnegie Center, because she was a librarian down there when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
we had horror stories to share with each other. Do you remember this? Do you remember that? Be glad you don't have carpeting in weird places. Well, I think that pretty well covers everything. There was a thing in the mailbox from the Jasper Foundation, just of what's happening mailer that they're doing. They are doing some very interesting things, trying to get information out about programs. So the library has stuff on their calendar, which is always nice to see. That's probably one of the things we need to think about when we do get these things scheduled, is to make sure it gets on their calendar. It's fairly widely received. Not only that, but Rensselaer Benches, as we mentioned before, that's definitely one we're gonna have to hit, because he has a pretty decent audience in the area, considering the state of local media.
Yeah.
So-
See, the Prairie Arts Council newsletter just went out yesterday, so otherwise you could have had it in there.
Timing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, unless anybody has anything else, was there any other?
Oh, I do. For the annual meeting, is it possible to move it from November 21st to the 28th instead of being on Thanksgiving week?
You mean this meeting?
Yeah.
The annual,
Yeah, the next quarterly meeting of the,
Which is the official one where we have to
do the votes,
officers.
yeah.
So if you'd like to be an officer,
Don't
Yeah.
hesitate, step right
the
up.
November meeting.
Yeah, come to the November meeting, please.
Either way.
Either way. I don't think that would pose a problem. Yeah, having it on Thanksgiving week just seems problematic in lots of ways. Unless there's an objection. Hearing
That's
none.
right.
we'll call
Thank
it
you.
Just means I gotta go home and scratch it out, put it on another day.
Well, I had totally forgotten about tonight, and I read it in the Rensselaer paper, and I was like, oh.
Yay!
Yeah.
There is something.
I
I
put,
talked to Georgianne McKim, and she said, well, there's a meeting this week, isn't there? And I go, yes. She said, well, I'll see you there. But I haven't seen you.
It's on our events calendar.
well, and it was on Facebook. I made sure I put it on Facebook earlier, even if I did get caught out because of the wrong time zone. Gotta love it when the computer puts it in Eastern instead of Central, and they gotta redo it. So that's always the fun part about being around here. Which cell phone tower am I on? Which time is my phone on? Okay. Well,
You
unless
can go in and set that to stay on one.
I do enough traveling, if I do that, I get caught out when I'm in the wrong place. So should have seen me when we were out in Vegas in March. I had that set on one device. I think it was my iPad. So I was constantly looking at it, and it's like 3 or 4 hours difference. So it completely messed me up. But well, unless there's anything else for the actual meeting, I would entertain a motion to adjourn at this
I'll
time.
move that we adjourn.
Okay. Throw a pencil at her. She's not paying attention.
I'll second it.
All in
It's not
favor
financial.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you for joining us.